Building an effective and innovative learning environment is a key concept when talking about challenges and changes of current education. This is why today, Liliana Ruiz, Joana Mateus, and here who is speaking, Joana Josa, will have a conversation about those policies, regulation, pedagogical aspects, and roles involved in bilingual learning environment. By exemplifying and supporting these concepts based on a real-life scenario, identifying the aspects that should be considered to transfer learning environments to facilitate learning. At the end, we will refer about the concept discussed throughout the conversation and make some predictions for the future of bilingual learning environments.
To start, we will give a look to those policies and regulations involved in the design of bilingual learning environment, which in Colombia is English as a second language. Those are the basic standards of foreign language proficiency English, which are designed according to the European Framework of Reference for Languages. As an example of this, we would like to mention Liceo Piñeros Cortés, a private secondary and primary school located in Kennedy neighborhood in Bogotá, whose curriculum is designed focusing on what learners should know and be able to do to demonstrate a B1 level of proficiency in English by the end of grade 11.
According to the 2022 EDUCAUSE Horizon report, there are 5 trends that should be a guide to transform and structure the future of bilingual education. We are referring to social, technological, economical, environmental, and political trends. They show us some concepts that need to be considered to promote changes. In the social trend, we find online learning. This strategy took place in the Liceo Piñeros Cortés during the pandemic, where the classes were completely face to face. But as a result of the emergency, the school implemented online learning, virtual classes, material online, and platforms to continue with the learning and teaching processes of students. However, once the on site classes started again, the use of technology was left behind, concentrated only in the use of traditional physical resources. The technological trend in effective learning environments, we find that ubiquitous learning and personalized learning play an important role because they allow the creation of flexible teaching and learning environments and at the same time permit more significant and lifelong educational experiences. Referring to this trend, seen from the context we are talking about, there is no evidence of ubiquitous or personalized learning because despite the classes were online, students should follow a schedule and the material was the same for everybody.
The economic trend what was evidenced in our context of the school was that at the moment of implementing technology, the institution support its practices on free access resources. But now that on-site classes return again, there are no funds to invest in new tools like platforms, online books, and devices to continue improving and promoting changes in the school. Another trend is the environmental. Although this trend is not currently promoted in the context we have been analyzing, it is a big challenge we have in education right now. When it's imperative students be aware of the need to generate sustainable practices that help mitigate current environmental problems and promote research that can be useful to address future environmental and humanitarian crises.
Finally, the political trend. It is necessary that the institutions adapt their practices, resources, and capabilities, understanding that the political context changes constantly, referring to regulations. Then, in Liceo Piñeros Cortés, it is important to adapt practices, including new methodologies and approaches like translanguaging. The implementation of it in bilingual learning environments promotes an adaptive bilingualism, taking the mother tongue as a support to learn a second language, taking advantage of the learner's full linguistic repertoire in both languages.
Taking into account the 5 trends we mentioned before, there are some reflections we should consider. To start, the necessity to structure and integrate technology, online learning, and new teaching methodologies gradually and to be maintained over time, promoting more flexible bilingual learning environments that offer students ubiquitous learning. Teachers should recognize the importance of aspects like innovative pedagogical teaching methods, the importance of becoming technologically literate, and to understand that their role in education is as facilitators, not as the core of the learning process. Students must be active agents that are able to think critically about their own learning processes, setting their own goals, and learning how to achieve them.
The creation of public policies should be focused on meeting the needs of students and designed based on their characteristics, context, realities, and current and emerging challenges by aligning these to the requirements of the 21st century education. Additionally, institutions have to adopt new ways of thinking about their business and how to be prepared financially for the sudden changes, recognizing not only how important it is to invest in the technological resources, but also in appropriate training for educators, because at the end, they are the ones that promote and implement those changes from their learning environments.
Finally, we must consider that the future is hard to predict, but if we base the construction of bilingual learning environments on the aspects involved in the trends we mentioned earlier, that can be used as a first step to prepare for the future and of education and learning environments possible to adapt, change, and transform according to the future. All the previous by highlighting what was mentioned by Arake 2021. In education, students, educators, and leaders need opportunities, assistance, and proper tools to take humanity towards a brighter future.
Thank you for your attention. This is the list of references.